What's going on, everyone? Alex here, just sitting in front of the Wawel Castle, Poland. Thought came to mind, wanted to share it with you guys, and I wonder if you can relate to this experience. Maybe you're a creator, but I think anyone who has a heartbeat can relate to this experience, which is that we can often hold back on a plan for something. Maybe we've got an idea about something that we want to create. It could be a music album, or it could be a certain type of website or an app, or a certain way of doing things. Like, for example, creating these videos with consistency. Creating anything, putting it out into the world, that can often be met with resistance in ourselves because we feel exposed when there's the prospect of potentially being judged by other people, but also ourselves. Our inner voice can be quite critical and judgmental and harsh, and it can hold us back from saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to honor my insight and I'm going to take a step into it. I know that I haven't got the full information, but I'm going to do this. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. Many of us don't, many of us do. Often, and I've had this experience many times, I've had an idea and I've held back on it, perhaps waiting for permission from someone else, perhaps waiting for more clarity. You know, we always have that excuse, don't we? I need to give it some thought, I need to chew on it before I commit to whatever it is that I want to do. This new program, this new project, this new book, I'm not sure yet. I'm going to just sort of let time pass. And then we see someone else doing that thing, and they're doing it well, and they're successful at it, and people are commenting on how good their idea is, and you sit there thinking, but I had that idea, could have done it myself, really, should have acted when I had the chance. Why didn't I step into it? Well, many reasons, many variables. We all know that feeling. We all know the excuses. We all know what it's like before we've seen the idea validated by other human beings. We think this is a little bit strange because I attach it to me before having seen it being validated out in the world. How about we turn things round and we, play devil's advocate perhaps, and we say, you know what if I assumed that everything that came to mind that was doable, that was interesting to me, that flicked a light bulb on in my head, that felt right, even if it was momentarily, and we thought to ourselves, that's a really interesting idea. What if we could assume that if we were to commit to it, follow through, show up every day for a few months in solid commitment to that project, what if we were to assume that it was possible to get it right, to do it well, to really deliver value with it, to really change other people's lives with it? What if we assumed that it could be possible? And what if that assumption was based on the fact that it felt right when we had the idea? It's one way of thinking about it. You ever had that feeling where you had an idea for something, but you held back? You didn't commit to it. Someone else showed up and they did it. Maybe they did something in a way that no one else had really been doing it, that you thought wasn't going to work, that was kind of not quite the right way of doing things. Maybe it's a certain videos. I'm thinking in my case about the video stuff. So my example is I've been holding back often on sharing these handheld videos because I think to myself, they need to be, studio quality. There needs to be better lighting. There needs to be more professional for it to do well. But I'm seeing other people on the internet just stepping up and doing it and doing really well with it, and it's completely changed my mind, changed my kind of approach. I'm so much more optimistic about this process just by kind of seeing that permission being given, being granted by seeing someone else succeeding with it. And of course, success is, it's an arbitrary concept, and we can see success through whatever lens we want. But the real point in all this is that there's very, 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 very little that you can commit to that springs from an idea that you have that can't work, that can't succeed in some way, that can't surprise you with what's possible with it. There's no right or wrong way. I think so many of us are limited by all these kind of invisible boundaries and guidelines that we think are out there in terms of how things should be done. And if we don't see people doing it in just the way that we consider it, that we conceive it, most people will not proceed. Most people need that sense of other people giving them permission first, or seeing it validated, or seeing someone else do it first. And of course, we end up with 99% of people copying other people, essentially. I often say that some copying is good to kind of get things moving in the initial phases. But I think when you really see a genius at work, when you really see someone who changes the game, when you see someone really leave a legacy, or at least step out and start doing work towards leaving a legacy, these are the kinds of people who operate on that assumption that things, no matter how bizarre, unique, far, left field it appears when you step into the thing, you can make it work. People will adjust to the strangeness of it, or the uniqueness of it, or the angle, the different angle of it. People are very malleable in that way. It's what I've seen over many, many years of witnessing new creations coming into the fore, is that you think you have a strange idea. You think that what you've got to give or express or contribute, it's just a little bit weird, and people won't really dig it because it's you, because we all have that insecurity about ourselves, and we make it personal, and we hold back because it's scary to think of ourselves being criticized or diminished in some way by society. This is one of the big fears. But again and again we see people stepping up, writing strange stories, creating bizarre films that down the line become cult classics, become absorbed into culture because you were determined enough to follow your idea through and give it a tangential concreteness that was previously an idea. Everything is possible. If it's logistically feasible and you can create something incredible through accumulated days spent doing the thing, you can create so much. And it's not just about the physical, it's about kind of pushing your way into culture as well. No matter what it is, no matter how worried you get about it in your, you wake up in the morning at 3 a.m. This happens a lot to me, kind of in a sweat, thinking, oh my God, what did I write today and share? That was absolutely nuts. But then you give it time to breathe, and you look back on some of the things you wrote, and you can see that in a small way, or even a big way, culture can be open to it. And if you show up day after day after day, that's all you need to give weight to your ideas in a way that society will come to accept and welcome after a time, even if initially they don't welcome it. Everything conceivable is there for the taking. Obviously there are sort of bounds at play that we know in our guts or through our intuition might not serve, and it might be that certain ideas are just this could be my critical voice coming into play here, trying to intercept on the video, right? So, Alex, not everything can be created and shared. I think that's true. Absolutely everything is possible within the realms of physics. But there are certain things that, in your gut is probably not going to help. Could be my critical voice again, and I might just be blathering. I may have ended the video a few minutes ago, but what I'm really saying here is that when we have that insight, we have that idea that doesn't really come to us with too much effort. It's usually a sign that it's the right thing, because you haven't forced it. You haven't forced it from a place of malice. You haven't forced your idea from a place of insecurity. I think that's where the difference lies. Some people are driven by a kind of hate, a need to prove. That can sometimes work, but it can very often backfire because it's come from a place of lack, from a place of weakness. So that's another element to this video that I guess could be talked about in another video. But my main point is that if you have an idea, assume that it's possible. Assume that no matter how strange or icky or weird it feels to put yourself out there into the world, all kinds of ideas have been welcomed eventually. all kinds of concepts have connected and worked that were initially seemingly very strange. So use that to fuel you when you next find yourself in a confused spot, not sure whether to write that piece and hit publish or create that new invention. So much is possible. So many things have been welcomed and molded to, society has molded itself to welcoming those things. And if anything, shouldn't really rely on other people's judgments anyway. So, let loose. Hope that helped, guys. This is obviously an open discussion, so share any comments down below. Always keen to hear your thoughts, and see you in the next video. Take care.